Welcome to the Caregiver Relief Podcast. I'm Diane Carbo, RN, your host today. This episode is sponsored by myvitalvault.net, your all-in-one life organizer for aging adults and caregivers. It's designed to help you securely store your essential legal, medical, and emergency information in one easy-to-access place. Because when a crisis hits, being prepared can make all the difference. Join our Caregiver Relief community, a warm, welcoming space where you can connect with other caregivers, ask questions, share stories, and find support from people who truly understand. Visit community.caregiverrelief.com to join now, because caregiving is one of the hardest and most meaningful things you'll ever do, and no one should have to do it alone. And if this episode speaks to you, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. Every click helps us reach more caregivers who need encouragement, resources, and hope. Emma, it's so wonderful to have you back for the final episode in our three-part series. In the last two episodes, we explored the heart of person-centered care and disease-specific strategies that bring real hope to families. But today we're shifting the spotlight because this episode is all about the caregiver, and I love that. Now, as the founder and CEO of Gentle Shepherd Care, you not only revolutionize how care is being provided to seniors, but you're also recognizing something so many, in fact, everybody overlooks, that the caregivers must thrive in order for their loved ones to thrive. So in this conversation, we're going to talk about your caregiving coaching program, the 5 key areas that reduce overwhelm, and how advanced life care planning can be a gift of love, and how caregivers can build a support system that's truly sustainable. I want to thank you. I know you're really busy right now. Welcome, and I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me for coming back 3 times in your show.
You're a shining light in the home care atmosphere right now. You have a philosophy, and I love it. So why is caregiver health just as important as the health of the person being cared for?
Diane, one of the things that I always say, if sick people can't take care of sick people. So if somebody's not well, it's very difficult for them to be able to provide care adequately to the person who needs the care.
100% I agree. Yes.
And so one of the reasons that I believe, and it's a battle, because it's not easy to provide that kind of service, because not everybody recognize that they need the help. And so remember, caregivers could be a family member, caregivers could be a child of the older adult, and it can also be a spouse of the older adult. And each of these caregivers have their own characteristics, and each of them respond to care and respond to help differently.
And the other thing that they're dealing with right now is the Medicare medical delivery system is now forcing family members or the family caregiver, whoever that may be, to provide care and treatments and services once done by healthcare professionals.
Yes.
And they don't have the training. They don't know what to look for. They don't know the resources. I know I've been dealing with this for a very long time, so I'm really excited. I'm interested in learning about your caregiving coaching program. What inspired it, and what are the key goals behind it?
So several things. What's behind it? Number one, I have watched family caregivers taking their loved ones home and not having adequate training. Now, I know when I speak to discharge planners, a lot of them, that is part of their discharge, is that they do education.
Yes.
But I don't know, but there are certain times our family, most of the families that I meet at home, I don't know whether they have the education, the training or not, but the education is not adequate.
100%. And what people don't understand is that you have to hear something 6 or 7 times before it records in your brain. So if they're showing somebody something once or telling them once, it's not sufficient education.
They need to hear it. They need to see it.
Yes.
They need to do it.
Yes, exactly. That's the nursing. See one, do one, teach one even.
Yes.
Exactly.
So if they are not able to do that, and it has to be repetitive, they have to repeat it. Because I think we take for granted that we are trained professionals.
Yep.
That when someone tells us something, we already have a ground base. We already have a base education.
Yes.
That when we say things like even our terms, people are not familiar with terms. And so I think sometimes we take for granted that they don't have that foundation for training. So when we starting from there, sometimes that's the first time somebody's seeing that person is like, oh, that person, you got to get them out of bed. How am I going to do that? You watch them and said, oh, I can't do this. And then now you start teaching them, everything goes over their head.
And in the medical terminology is something they're so unfamiliar with. And I find that as healthcare professionals, we aren't in tune to that because we're so ingrained in hearing those terms. And these poor people, and what frustrates me is the caregivers or the seniors even are afraid to ask what it means because it may make them sound dumb. And I'm like, oh, no,
yeah, they don't ask. But they don't even know what to ask.
100%. I will agree with that. Yes.
They don't know what to ask, and so they don't ask. Number one. So we talk about the different type of caregivers. So let's talk about the spouse, for example. So the spouse, so you can have the husband and the wife. Wives are natural caregivers. They're natural caregivers, and they feel like when they're taking care of their husbands, they feel that they've always done things. For example, there are couples, they do everything for their husbands anyway. The older adults, the older couples, like they're 90, they are so used to do things for their husbands. And their husbands are so used to just sit back and watch their wives do everything for them. Today's generation is different. But the older generation, they are used to receiving, and the wife is used to giving.
Yes, so that's a problem.
So they do everything anyway for them, even like their pills, their this, their socks. They do all these things for them.
Yep.
And so they're used to that. So it's harder to take that away from them.
Exactly.
When you bring in care, or when you tell them that they need help.
Or if it's reversed and all of a sudden the wife that has been caring for her husband for their whole entire life becomes ill. And now he's this person who's expected to be able to provide care for her, and he doesn't know anything about providing care for somebody else.
He's lost.
He's totally lost.
He's overwhelmed. And the first thing he's looking for is there a nursing home to put my wife? Is there an assisted living? Is there this? Is there that? We are easy. It's no blame. It's not a blaming game. They just don't know what to do.
And they're not qualified, and they don't feel, they're afraid. They're living in fear that they're going to do something wrong.
Yeah. And they're overwhelmed. And you have the wife who actually wants to do everything, and even to the detriment of their own health.
Yes.
I had a client, especially if the spouse has chronic diseases that is when they starting to decline functionally. Like they can't walk, or they can't get up, they can't do this and that. And so you have a wife that's close to their age group, right? You have a husband that's 90, you have a wife that's 88, 87. Who's doing this. Now that becomes a problem, because they can't lift this man. They can't do these heavy things. And they don't know which part of the job they need to have other people do. It's very hard.
I just had a client, her husband is 80, she's 78, she has bad knees. He just was released home from the hospital. It was an unsafe discharge to home. I'm seeing a lot of that, and I know you are too, I'm sure of it. But here she was. They told her he was a good transfer. She tried to put him on the toilet when he was only home an hour. not only did she drop him and he fell, she injured herself. He had to go back into the hospital and have surgery because he re-injured the surgical area. He had surgery on his back and a head injury.
Yes. But see, unfortunately, one of the reasons that you and I talk about unsafe discharges,
Yes.
one of the reasons for the unsafe discharges is the reimbursement, because these things are not being reimbursed. People don't get we don't get we don't get reimbursed for these kinds of services.
You know what? I've been arguing with a few CEOs in hospitals because all of a sudden all patients are ready to go home within 20 days after being admitted to the hospital, whether they're ready or not. And then if they have managed care, they're going home in 11 to 14 days. And they say they meet Medicare criteria. I said, I thought we had 100 days of coverage. And I said, it used to be that you kept everybody to 100 days because the reimbursement was so good. Now, all of a sudden, because after that 120 or after that first 20 days or 11 to 14 days on managed care, they are not getting reimbursed. In fact, they get a higher level of reimbursement to not provide therapy. So we have a big issue here. And that's why I'm so excited about telling people about your home care platform, because it is revolutionary and it's just what we need at a time where we have a public health crisis occurring.
But the thing is that, unfortunately, though I have the service available and we know what is needed,
Yes.
and we know that it's a gap in care,
Yes.
and it becomes the challenge is getting people to accept that service.
Yeah.
Because of their financial burden, because of the financial challenges that they currently have. And so you have people are willing to take on their loved ones, even they know they're not adequately trained, they're not adequately able to do it, because financially the burden is too heavy on them, and there was no reimbursement for that.
Well, the Medicare Advantage plans are expecting $200 to $500 a day copay. That's a lot of money, and it's to deter use of benefits. So what's happening is they're being forced to take these people home because they don't have the financial ability, or have the financial ability but don't want to spend the money. And that's the issue that we really need to address, because I'm telling you right now, it's home care benefits alone have been cut so badly that we're not even the nurses aren't getting reimbursed for their visits. So the nurses aren't going out for things. I recently had a client come home who had new seizure medications, just discovered seizures, and was having UTIs. She came home, fell as soon as she got home, and they had not done any home care visit at all. She had stairs to go up, was sitting, no bed to sleep in downstairs, had no way to get upstairs. They said she was independent, but they sent her home with a wheelchair. None of it made sense.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing is that they are just sending them home and just hoping and praying that it works.
Yeah. But unfortunately, because families have to pay for services,
Yes.
they are looking at it like, okay, so what are you going to do for me? They can't see the value
Yes.
of having the presence
Yes.
of a professional in the home. If I can't dictate, for example, I'll give you an example. I go to a home, I come in there with a professional pair of eyes. I see care completely different than the family caregiver. I see it completely differently. So I go in there, I'll give you an example. I go in there, I see a male, a spouse laying in the bed, okay? And his wife just got him ready for the morning. But the minute he's at the edge, he's way at the end of the bed. He's discombobulated.
Yeah.
The minute I walk in, I'm like, okay, this is not good in my head. That's the presence of the professional in your home.
Yes.
So you may not think you can think of something for me to do for you, but I come in there automatically. So I said, oh, he's sliding off the bed. He's like, and she's, yeah, I can't get him up. He's too heavy. I can't. So she's trying to move him up, but she can't. But I got skilled. So automatically I'm like, what she needs a pull sheet. She has a pool sheet under him. So
Yeah.
automatically I rolled up. I said, do you have an extra sheet? She said, for what? I said, just give me an extra sheet. She gave me an extra sheet. I make a pool sheet, roll it over under him, and I
Yep.
scoop him up. And she's, that's the value of having someone who's a professional
It's
to be
the
able to
little
know these
things
things.
that we see. In fact, I went to a home to do an evaluation a few years ago. It was this couple she had Parkinson's, she was an LPN. He was a retired teacher with dementia, and they were so over the top in love. I mean, it's so cute to see them. But they were still in their bed, the big king size bed. And he said to his daughter, this isn't going to work anymore. We need to get 2 hospital beds in here. The aide that was there says, they don't need hospital beds. Meanwhile, she was going to be getting a feeding tube and all these things. And I said, you know what? I'm sorry, but I know what I'm talking about. I've done rehab for years. And she insisted she was an aide, felt that she knew everything. And it was very challenging for me to teach her how to transfer them properly and get the beds in there. We just put the 2 beds together. It's not hard that they could hold the hands or whatever. But here's a perfect example of what you're telling me. This lady that had her husband fall when he came home from the toilet on the toilet, he had a stage 3 decube on his heel, and the facility didn't even know he had it, and he was in acute rehab. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what's happening. And he was a severe diabetic. He may lose that foot. We don't know yet. But here we are. We're dealing with the facilities aren't providing the quality of care that they need to because the reimbursement is no longer there. Yeah. How do you not do skin checks? Yeah. Other thing I'm learning, and this will make your head explode because it did mine. They're saying patients have rights now. Yes, they do, to a point. Yeah. But we're going into facilities and they're saying, oh, if you don't want turned, we won't turn you. And then they're developing decubitus. They're pressure sores on their butt and their heels or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're causing harm. Yeah. There has to be a point where I'm the boss, and yes, I know you're not happy with this, but I'm doing what's in your best interest. Otherwise, you're going to cause harm to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Patient rights doesn't go to when the person is harming themselves.
Exactly.
If that person couldn't talk for themselves, the family wanted to do something, and that was going to be harmful. Somebody has to advocate. It's the same way you need to advocate for this person who's unaware, who doesn't really understand. The reason the person doesn't want to turn is because it's inconvenient. It's hurting or something, but those are the kind of things that we see in the home with caregivers, not only not trained, but unaware, don't have the knowledge to be able to know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And then the other issue is the reimbursement issues. Who pays for all this? Who pays for this? That's the first question. Who pays for this?
I will tell you right now, Medicare has moved to a cost-sharing plan. And with all the changes, they think this is going to be so good for our healthcare. What's happened is the government policymakers are now our doctor. The doctors aren't included. They're told what they can do, when they can do it, and how they can do it. And then the rich will absolutely pay for whatever care. The middle class will end up still doing the second mortgages or reverse mortgages. They will sell their assets to get the recommended care. And the poor, I'm sorry, but I've seen this for decades and people don't realize they do without. I've seen it for decades because I've done all avenues of all kinds of arenas of nursing care, and I've done home care. And I know that they're not getting the care that they need. So nothing has changed.
No. And over the years, it's always been reimbursement, direct care. We learn in school, the stuff we learn in school is night and day from the actual, what we do. Yes. Because when you were in nursing school, you think you were going to go out there and change the world. And you get out there, I can't change the world because they didn't tell me about these people.
Yes.
Blue Cross Blue Shield. They didn't tell me about the government. They didn't tell me about Medicare. They didn't tell me these people is actually the people who direct the care, not me. Unfortunately, this is what it is. Diane, over the years, the other side is that we've never taught people how to take responsibility for their own health.
I 100% agreement.
So that's why people don't think they should pay for care.
Yes, yes.
Actually, even some of this care that we're talking about, even for 4 hours a day, $120 a day, people don't feel that they need to pay for care when they actually paying for things they don't even think about much more than that. And so because people don't really think care is something that they need to pay for, they don't take responsibility for they think someone else should be doing it for them. Like the government should pay for it. Yes, we should. We pay for insurance. I think we should have better care than that. Medicare, I think older people deserve much, much, much better care than that.
Yes.
But what if they don't? So who's supposed to take responsibility for that?
It's on the family. And I like to tell everybody 63% of family caregivers become seriously ill or die before the person they're caring for passes. And that's really a serious statistic, because what's being pushed and forced on family caregivers now is going to come back, and it's going to be 100% because the stress. And that's why when you say $120 for 4 hours, I'm like, oh my gosh, that gives a caregiver 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, of relief, that they know somebody's going to be there, and they can go grocery shop and see their own doctor, get a massage, whatever they need to get the breaks that they need so that they can thrive.
So let me tell you about a client that I had this week or last week. I went to do an assessment. The patient has Parkinson's. The wife is the primary caregiver. Now he has had Parkinson's for about 14, 15 years. And so now he's declining. Okay?
Yeah.
He's pretty young because he's still in his 70s, upper 70s, but he's declining. Okay. And she's in her 70s. So that means the body cannot take care of somebody like that. So she's doing her best. So she calls me and she wants some help because the husband is declining. And after I talked to her over the phone, she took a look at how much the care is. She called me back. She said, no, I think I'm going to hold on. She moves in a new place. She calls me back immediately the week after. She said, I don't think I can. I need help. He fell. We just moved in here and he fell. In the afternoon, his mobility is worse and I can't get him up. I can't lift him. I said, okay. I go in there and talk to her. While I was there, one of the things that with Parkinson's, for him in the afternoon, the morning, they have more energy. The afternoon get worse. And so it's really hard to move. While I was there for about an hour, they also have the urge constantly to stand up. He has the urge to get up. He can't get up. So it takes me and her trying to get him up, because otherwise he gets all frustrated and things. Okay. I said, okay, let's get up. And so it takes both of us to get him up, to stand up. So what happened when I'm not there? So she doesn't have a gait belt. She doesn't have the proper equipment to help. She doesn't have the skill to use his hands. She doesn't have the skill to be able to get him up.
And now she probably doesn't have the strength either.
She doesn't have the strength. She doesn't have the skill, the proper skill to get him up. And he can't get up, and he has to, because that's going to get him really frustrated, right?
Yes.
So she get me there, and I said, okay, those are the kind of things that I will do for you. And she said, that's the time I need, the afternoon. I said, great. We'll have the caregivers in the afternoon, because that's when he's worse. So during those 4 hours, he'll be there. If she wants to get up, we'll get him up. If he walk, we'll walk with him. She said, okay. So we got the care plan all set up. The next day, the caregiver is scheduled to go. And she's going to go for 4 hours. And then at that time, she can go grocery shopping. She can go do something, a bit of errands. I'm so excited. Did you know when the time come for the caregiver to come, the minute that she was ready, the husband said, what? You leaving me? I can't do this. You can't leave me alone. You can't leave me by myself. You leaving me with her? I don't even know her. He sent the caregiver away.
You know what? I've had that happen so many times, and it's so frustrating. Yes.
It broke her heart too when he says, no, you can't leave me alone with her. I can't do it. Now, remember, I just told you physically,
Yeah.
those are the hours that she needs help. She
Yes.
cannot do it.
Yes. And that's when you manage by crisis, because he's going to fall, hurt himself really bad, end up in the hospital, or
Yeah.
even have a
Unfortunately.
situation, where he'll pass away and never be able to return to the home again.
And so my goal with my caregiver coaching
Yes.
is for those caregivers to have me as someone that they can dial, someone that they can call.
Yes.
Number
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Someone that can anticipate what those things are going to be. Like
Yeah.
to have someone like me in their lives that I can anticipate. Like for me, I cannot force care to her, but if she's my coach, if I'm her coach, I will tell her blank. I don't sugarcoat it.
I don't sugarcoat it either.
So I tell them exactly what it is. I'll tell them exactly. Let me tell you, you continue to do this, you're going to find yourself laying in the hospital because your back is going to give out on you. You are not 30 years old.
Yeah.
Your back is not up to that. You don't
Yeah.
have the skill to properly do good body mechanics to get this man up every 10 minutes in the afternoon for 4 hours and every day.
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
do it. Okay. So you need a younger group of person. Not only during that time, we'll train you proper body mechanic. It's not something you just learn. It's something that you actually learn and do.
Yes.
How many times as nurses we have learned good body mechanics and we still break our own backs?
Absolutely. A patient spasms or they slip all of a sudden and you're injured.
And because you're not thinking during
Yeah.
that time,
Yeah.
you're thinking about picking up the client, not your body mechanics.
Yeah.
And so it is something that you have to practice all the time. Like
Yeah.
before me as a professional, before I do anything for a patient, first of all, I sit there and I think about what is going to be happening. I practice that in my head. Okay, I'm going to get this person out. This is what I'm going to do. I'm a professional. I've been doing this for forever. How
Yeah.
many family caregivers are doing that?
Yeah. I also, I talk through it with my patient before I do it and then during. This is what we're going to do first. And then I spoon feed them each step so that I know and they know and that they're prepared. And family caregivers don't do that. They
No.
learned to do that. And it's not their fault. I'm not putting blame on anybody. I'm just saying we have knowledge and experience. Take advantage of our knowledge and experience because we can make your caregiving journey so much
easier.
Yes.
And the other thing that I tell family caregivers, and Diane, when people know what to expect, they respond differently. So I usually tell family caregivers, remember, your husband is going to respond to your care differently than if I was giving the care.
Yes. Oh, yes.
They know I know what I'm doing. They know you don't know what you're doing. They already know that.
And you know what I find, and this is my personal experience, is the person that's needing care will lash out at the person that is providing care because they know that they can get away with it and still be cared for. And they'll be mean and cruel or whatever. And it just breaks down the heart of every single family caregiver. And after a while, it gets tiring. And that's why I always encourage get help in the home. You really need it.
Yeah. And especially if they are alert, they are not only, even though they can't get up, but they're telling you what to do.
Yes.
So they're telling their wife, they're telling the family caregiver what to do, even though they can't do it. And so now they're not listening. Like for me as a provider, as a professional, I'm telling them what to do. I'm going to tell them, put your feet down.
Yes.
We're going to lock your knees and my knee. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. But the family caregiver doesn't do all these stuff. And so they don't trust and they have very low confidence that this person is going to transfer them safely. And so there is this tug of war. So I teach the family caregivers all these things and that's why the coaching is important. It's not just to teach you things, but it's to walk it with you.
Exactly. Now, I want to talk about advanced life care planning because you call it an act of love. And what do you mean by that?
I call it an act of love because when you don't do advanced care planning, you leave it to someone else to do for them. It's a very difficult decision for other people to be making for you.
Explain advanced life care planning to the audience.
So advanced life care, this is where this comes from. I do care management, and then I added my home care services. When I added home care services, what I discovered was, number one, I don't want to say nobody, but very little, the majority of people do not plan. Number three things: how they want to age, where they want to age, how much aging is going to cost. And so because they don't plan ahead, all of these become a burden for your loved one.
Exactly.
Because you will get to the place where you can't do it on your own. So when you don't do it, you can't do it on your own, then it becomes the other person's responsibility to make decision how you should age. To make the decision where you're going to be, and to make that decision how much it's going to cost. What if you don't have the money to cover the cost? So where are we going to get the cost? So all of that is a responsibility of for your loved one. Now, what if all of that was already decided upon? What if you have already had it all planned out? What if it's not in your head, but it is written? It is formal. All they have to do, your daughter has to do, is pick up your book, your care plan, and look and say, okay, this is what my mom wants. This is what she wants. Okay, this is what we're going to do. They just have to execute your plan. They don't have to do the decision for you. That's what I mean by it is an act of love, because you relieving that person of that burden. Because caring for your loved one is stressful enough. You're not the only thing they have to do. They still have to take care of themselves. They still have to take care of their own children, their own family. A lot of those family members, caregivers, they have grandchildren that they want to be able to spend time with. They want to do all. And on top of that, they have to take care of deciding how you're going to age, where you're going to age, and how much that's going to cost. That's a lot.
And the other thing, every caregiver out there has some extended family member that's judging their care and their decisions, or an uninvolved siblings doing the same thing. So when an aging adult puts things in writing, making clear, concise ideas of what they want, when they want, how they want it, and where they want it, it takes away the burden of judgment and guilt that family caregivers are going to feel. And also it's added stress, not only because of it wasn't done and in writing, and now you're trying to figure out, but you have all these people judging you, and they're abusive to the family caregiver. They beat them down horribly over and over.
But Diane, if you don't have the plan, that family caregiver is gonna make decision when under crisis. Because it's not planned. So they're going to, like, all of a sudden you're in the hospital, they have to make all these plans. And these are the words, I've never been here before. I've never done this before. I don't even know where to start. Those are the words I hear from family caregivers all the time. Now, having a living will is great, but that's not it.
Yes, exactly. That's not it. No.
Having a will, having a living will, it's just part of it. Having a power of attorney, that's just part of it. That's just part of it. It still doesn't tell me, how do you want to age? What do I mean by how do you want to age? Diane, how do you want to age is something that you start to do in your 50s and your 60s.
Yes, exactly.
You don't decide how you're going to age when you turn 80.
Yes.
So how you want to age is looking at knowing what numbers are important. I tell people aging doesn't kill people. Just because you age, just because you're 90, nobody die of aging.
Yes.
You die of the chronic diseases, things.
Yes.
Okay. that you are suffering or living with. Those are the things that kills you. It's not because you're 90.
Yes.
And so knowing the numbers, the things, like for example, biological age and chronological age.
Yep.
We were not talking about these things 10 years ago, but today we're talking about them.
Yes.
Because of advancing technology, it is possible. Knowing these things, taking it, it shows responsibility. Oh, what? The first time I heard about biological aging, I'm like, what does that mean with that? Like they said, if you 70 and you actually, that's chronological, and then biologically you're 90, that means you're going closer to the grave, because so that means it's the biological age that takes you to the grave, not your chronological age.
Yes.
And then they said, you can actually reverse that. I'm like, whoa. And so that's what I mean when I say, how do you want to age? Do you want to age where you just watch yourself decline, watch yourself this and that, and then the world says it's because you're 90 years old, or do you want to take control of your health? Do you want to take control of what's going on with you? And that's what I mean. So I can take care of someone who's 80, but they're living well.
Yes. I have a lady that's 104 in New Jersey that she has somebody come in 7 or 8 hours a day. They go shopping, they do activities. She goes to the senior center with her. And she's home alone in the evening, but they have her meals prepared for her. And she's living really well.
She's living. Just because she's 104, she doesn't need to be in an assisted living or a nursing home. She can be in her own home.
Exactly. I want to bring one more point to that. When you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you're planning on how you want to age, you also have to understand the majority of homes, in fact, 99.9% of the homes in America are made for a young body, not an aging body. And if you're going to remodel the home, make it so that if you want to stay in this home the rest of your life, and I hear this all the time, they're going to take me out with feet first. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. But get the house, talk to a certified aging in place specialist and make changes to the home. Get high toilets when you have to replace the toilet. Get lights that the light switches down and make them levers, not the buttons, or make the handle so that they're levers, not to grab, because arthritic hands don't do knobs very well.
The important thing is shower. The important thing is a walking shower. Oh my God. Because someone can have a stroke at 50, 60, and all of a sudden you cannot get in the shower because you don't have a walking shower. So if you're going to make all these changes, make changes that make sense, because she's going to spend the money already. Diane, I have a couple that was about less than 5 or 6 years ago who bought a new house, and I went to their house. And because I'm a home care nurse, those lights, bulbs, in my head. And I went to their house. They were in their 70s. And the minute I go in there, they have all these stairs. I said, do you guys have a first floor bedroom? They're like, no.
Yep.
I said, oh, you guys they built this house. They moved from wherever they came, and they came here to North Carolina. They built a house. Yeah. They are in their 70s, Diane, and they don't have a first floor bedroom. I'm like, wow, that's nice. It wasn't long later, the wife had some issue, had a foot ulcer in her foot. He took her to the doctor. She has cancer in her feet. Okay, so she had surgery. She can go up there. Husband became with dialysis, and he's too weak. I'm thinking,
I see this all the time. In fact, I go into some over 55 communities and I think, I want to shoot the person that built these, because they'll have steep steps. They have everything so high it's within reach. What makes it over 55? It's not because it was a well-built home for an aging body, not at all. And I have so many seniors now here in Myrtle Beach that buy these RVs, they're dropping big bucks on these amazing RVs, and you have to climb in them, and then they have steps.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking, these are people in their 70s. They're not well. If they were, it's another story. Okay, you might have a few good years, but it's like, how are you going? You're not going to be able to use it long.
What is going on with those showers? That's my thing. Why do we have these little hump in front of those showers? We cannot will you in there.
Yes. And that's the other thing I tell people when you're thinking about aging and you're remodeling, get a certified aging in place specialist there, because, you know, that little lip that you have can be detrimental to getting you into the shower. And it's the same. I like the idea of the walk-in tubs that they have, but you have to be able to get into it independently. And it's not realistic for so many seniors over time. And they don't think about that thing. So it's very frustrating for me.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. So those are all the things that I teach my family caregivers that they don't think about. They may not think this is valuable, but those are things that you don't think about. They're going to come and bite you later. I'm telling you.
Yes. What is the right time to seek professional help, whether it's home care, respite care, or therapy?
Okay. As a family caregiver, I feel, it's my opinion, I recommend that anytime you're dealing with a caregiver issue, like you have someone now diagnosed with a chronic disease, you need to get professional help.
Yes. Yes.
Because the thing is, the teaching is not only teaching you what's going on right now, but also what's to anticipate so you can make good decision.
And doctors don't take time to give people that information. They don't have time.
I forgive them. They don't have the time.
No, and they have 15 minutes and they have to assess, diagnose, treat, and document.
The resources are so short. They're so short of resources.
They are. And that's why it's really important. And I'm in total agreement. When somebody gets diagnosed with a new diagnosis or a condition, they need to call somebody such as yourself and say, you know, what do I need to anticipate for my future? A lot of doctors, I'll tell you, with somebody with dementia and stuff, they have no idea what to tell you. Doctors, because they know one thing and one thing only. And we've lost our ability to have holistic care, whereas you and I are taking a holistic approach to care. And that's a lost art in our medical delivery.
Totally. Because we don't have time for that.
No, nobody has time. And that's why we're so valuable and important. And people need to know what you're offering.
And the other thing is, the reason that they need to, because there are different phases of care.
Yes. Okay?
There are phases. They're in the beginning, they're middle, and they're towards the end. And each of them are different. And you need different equipment for each phase.
Yes.
And so you need to know, what do I need now? What do I anticipating for later? And what do I need to look forward to? So you can face the challenges much better with less stress. The whole thing is stress. Yeah. How do I manage? And when you plan ahead like this, the stress, not because you're not going to have stress, but at least you'll have the tools. You'll have the support already in place. You'll have the services already in place.
Yes.
That you could just access.
Caregiver burnout's real.
Oh, wow.
It's so real. And people, in fact, it gets to the point where the person providing care becomes angry. And the anger actually causes them to have more stress and develop chronic illnesses themselves.
So they're angry. They can be guilt. They can have guilt. Yep. They have anger. They have resentment, depending on the relationship that they have with that person. Because if that person was not a nice person, now they have to do this. That is very hard for that person. So they can have resentment. They can have guilt. They can have anger. They can have denial. Sometimes they are in denial to accept that my loved one is turning into this person. I don't even know this person. Yeah. And so they could go to the different stages of grief, and they don't even know that those are the different stages of grief.
Yes. Now, because they're expected to do so much, one of the biggest issues that caregivers lack is the ability to set boundaries.
Yes.
What role do boundaries play in sustainable caregiving, especially within families?
Boundaries. So you have the care recipient.
Uh-huh.
Okay? For example, you have the daughter you have the mother who thinks everybody should drop everything they have in their lives to come and do this. Okay.
That's 99% of them.
And I don't need someone else from outside. I have 7 children. They all need to do whatever they need to do to take care of this person.
Yeah.
And they don't have. So you have to know when do you, and then they use guilt. They use guilt. So when do you say, no, mom, this is what needs to be done. This is what, so boundaries like that. Recognize when the person is using manipulation to get you to do things. So you do it out of obligation, not out of love.
Yes.
So you have to, when you recognize that, that's one thing. The other boundaries is husbands. It's the husband or the care recipient who doesn't want you to leave, who doesn't want you to simple things. Like I just gave you the example. Like she wants to take once a week, take 4 hours, 4-hour break from the husband. And when the time comes, the husband is crying and said, "You're leaving me alone." And then she gives in. That's not setting boundaries. The boundaries is, no, John, once a week, I am going to take the time because I love you. And I really want to still be able to take care of you to the best of my abilities, but I need some time off. And that is why I'm like to be able to verbalize that.
Yes. I tell every family caregiver that I work with, and it makes them crazy because they feel insulted. But I think that every family caregiver, whether they're a spouse or not, should put a family caregiver contract in place. They need to look at this like a job. And if they do that, hey, when you start a job, you get breaks, you get vacations, you get days off. And when you do have all these uninvolved extended family members that are judgmental or uninvolved siblings, then you have in writing, I will do these things. But when you get to a point, if you are incontinent, I don't feel comfortable providing personal care. Or if you become aggressive, I don't feel good. I don't want to be fear for my safety. Or if you're sexually inappropriate, and it does happen, makes me feel uncomfortable. So I will stop. That's when I will no longer be able to provide care. But here's the other caveat to that. Every family caregiver should have days off and time off. If they have all these extended family members and uninvolved siblings, those people should be able to provide respite breaks, and it needs to be done in writing. I need you for this many hours on these days. And if they are not willing to provide physical help, then they need to contribute financially so that she or he, that family caregiver, can get the necessary break to be able to thrive and keep on providing that care.
Correct. Now, again, Diane, that's where someone outside, like me or you, come in. We are able to put these contracts together.
100%.
The family caregiver who's involved in it, it's so much harder for them. Their siblings make them feel bad. Like their siblings, like sometimes the family caregiver, the person who becomes the family caregiver, sometimes fall into it. And the other people thinks, you don't do what I do. My job is important. My stuff is important. But so the reason that you need to do this is because you got nothing going on. You single, you this, you that. So it takes someone like me who says, no, not really. It doesn't work that way. This is your mother. This is your father. This is how this contract should work. And so when someone else outside come in and put that in front of them, then they have nothing to say. But when
100% correct.
When you are the only one putting that contract out, you're going to get a lot of pushback. A lot of people say, no, Diane, why don't you just do this? What's wrong with you? You always want to take the easy way out. You always, but when all of them are taking vacations, they're traveling, they're doing all this stuff, and you're at home and mom, and then that builds a lot of resentment.
The other thing because they're not building up their Social Security. They're not
Yeah.
they're not going to be, who's going to take care of them? And I will tell you, I lose 2 to 3 caregivers every year to serious illness or death.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a real thing. And then everything falls apart for the care.
Can I tell you something, Diane? I
Yeah.
met a nurse a couple
Mhm.
years ago, and she took care of her mom. She was the mom family caregiver. And I was in a retreat, and she says, this is the first thing that I've done for myself for years. She said, and that was after her mother died. And she said to me, for the past, whatever the time she was taking care of her mom, she didn't have a mother. That was not my mother. She says,
Yeah.
I had a total different title. I was a caregiver. Now that my mom passed away, I'm like grieving, like I didn't do the things that I needed to do as a daughter with my mother. So I tell family caregivers, you need me. You need my service because it's important for you to remain in your role as a wife, to remain in your role as a daughter, to remain in your role because you don't know how long you have. If you have the next 2-3 years with that person, why don't we build memories?
Yep.
Why don't we spend time building memories and those times instead of spending all that time building as a caregiver with a completely different title that you could hire someone to do. You cannot hire me to be your mom's daughter.
Exactly. And you know what? Everybody has the right to be a daughter, a wife, a brother, or a husband, and not always be the caregiver, because that's a totally different role. And it's an unfair role to put somebody in on a regular basis.
24/7.
24/7 and caregiving, the average length of stay or average journey is 6 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And some go as long as 20 years.
Yeah, 10, 20 years, depending on the chronic disease.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues that need to be discussed. And
depending on the chronic disease, Diane, it's very hard. When someone is dealing with cognitive issues,
yes,
that is very difficult.
Yep.
When you are living with someone with Alzheimer's dementia, physically, who's mentally is not well.
Exactly. Yes, it's really hard. Emma, what's one message or piece of advice that you want every caregiver listening to you to come away with today?
It's okay to get help.
It's not only okay, but it's necessary. It's a stable technique.
It's life and death. It's a life and death situation. It is very important.
And that's not being dramatic at all.
No,
that is very true. And that is very true because I've seen it so much. And Emma, how do people find you?
People can go to my website, Gentle Shepherd Care, www.gentleshepherdcare.com. And who should reach out to me? Who should reach out to me? Anyone, first of all, who's listening to this podcast, who has a loved one and who is dealing with any type of chronic disease, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever the chronic disease, and you are responsible for that person. Number one, the question that I want to ask you, do you have a plan for that person? Does that person has a plan? If that person doesn't have a plan, you go ahead, give me a call, and I would love to talk to you and give you 30 minutes of my time. And during that time, number one, I will talk to you about what's going on. I will get an assessment of what is going on with that person. What are your plans? What are your dreams? And then I will see what the gap is, what is missing, and give you a recommendation of how you can go forward and put a plan together.
We're goal setters. So we help people identify goals and try to reach them long-term and short-term. So I really that. To my family caregivers out there, you are the most important part of the caregiving equation. Without you, it all falls apart. So please learn to be gentle with yourself. Practice self-care every day. Ask for help. Call Emma.
Ask for help.
Our worst.
Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait for crisis. Call me now.
Exactly.